Hi guys, it's Kelly from Cards by Christine coming at you live on a Thursday, closer to evening. Whoops, little scheduling issues today, but here I am for Technique Thursday. Just going to see if I can find the live so that I can comment along with you guys. All right, oh, here I am. All right, so today we are going to do what I'm calling the tiles technique. Not quite sure what it's actually called, but it reminds me so much of how you align tiles in like a flooring project or a bathroom. And I've got some techniques and tips on how to successfully create this card, which is featured in the ink paper scissor that is coming up. So if you're interested, you can still register for that. This beautiful card is one of the cards. Hi, Sandy. So I've got the kit right here, and we're using the Lovely and Lasting stamp set. Here is the focal image. So pretty. Then what we're going to talk about is how to create these tile pieces, and then how to kind of walk through what the card is and how to create it. Hello, Penny and Stacy and Mary from hot Montana. It is steamy here in Wisconsin too. Hi, Gwen. Okay, so the DSP here, this particular piece of DSP isn't directional. So it doesn't really have an up and down versus a side and side. But if you are using a piece of paper that is directional, you definitely need to be careful and make sure that your cuts are appropriate so that you don't have sideways people or flowers or anything like that. So in this case, we're not worrying about the orientation, but it is something to keep in mind if you are using a sheet that matters. Hi, Doris. Hi, Susan. Thank you, Bonnie. It is beautiful. I think it's one of my favorites. I'll show you the rest of them in the class too. Hello, Sharon from Minnesota. Got almost 30 people on already. Wow. Everyone's dying to get some card making. Chris will be at you in about an hour and a half with a live tonight too. So stay tuned. Okay, so this piece. Now, Chris designed this with a mat in the back. So some of the measurements are very precise. We can kind of fudge the 16ths if that's kind of hard on your eyes or difficult for you to measure and cut. But the measurements for this, we've got a standard card base for the soft succulent. So we've got 8.5 by 5.5. And that's scored at 4 1/4. So that makes the card base for you. Then for the white layer, we've got 5 5/16 by 4 1/16. So that's the white mat. Thanks for sharing, Doris. Hi, Rhonda and Lynn. Okay, so that's the white mat. Then these pieces of DSP. So we'll call this the base. This is the mat. The DSP. Okay, so we're going to do 2 cuts of DSP. We're going to have 2 inches by 4 1/8. That's the piece that's going vertical. And I'll put that. And then we've got a 2 inch by 2 7/8. And that's horizontal. So the last piece is this soft succulent that's behind the flowers, kind of the middle piece. And that one's going to be 1 13/16 by 3 1/16. And you'll see here on this card, it's dry embossed. You don't see real much of the piece behind the beautiful focal flowers, but it does look really nice to have that embossed there. So those are the layers that you have here. And these 2 layers of DSP are 2 inches by 4 1/8, and then it gets cut in half. And that's how you get the 4 pieces. And then last but certainly not least, this is the inside rectangle. So if you like this card, here are the measurements that you've got for creating this. Now, I'm going to show you what comes in the kit and kind of how it's used. So here are our DSP pieces. So here is our cut of 2 by 4 1/8, and then you cut the 2-inch side in half to make it 1 by 4 1/8. This is the vertical piece if you had directional paper. Then we've got this piece that is 2 by 2 7/8 cut in half for your horizontal pieces. Here's the dry embossed piece of 1 13/16 by 3 1/16. Hi, Lisa. Then we've got this piece. This is the piece that you're going to stamp on. And this is our lovely and lasting. And what you're going to do is stamp this image 3 different times in 3 different colors. And then this is fussy cutting. So either you're gonna love it or not so much love it. You fussy cut around the entire green. I'm striking out right now. It's the Evening Evergreen. Yeah, Evening Evergreen. So cut around that, and that's gonna be the base piece. That's glued flat down. Then the other layers, we've got the red is Sweet Sorbet. See, me and the in colors don't get along every time. And that will get fussy cut around just the 2 big flowers. Those then get layered on with dimensionals, and then we've got the petal pink that is for the 2 small buds, and that will also be layered on with dimensionals. So love how that really fills up the card here. Then we've got our happy birthday on our little oval that's got the nice, like, kind of debossed edges. And that also is on dimensionals. And so cute here, this ribbon, which is so soft. Kind of just folded beneath. And it's a nice polyester ribbon that is, seriously, when you get this kit, like, kind of pet it. It's so soft. Oh, that's my inspiration for you. Just enjoy the beautiful ribbon. And then I've kind of been holding out. You're kind of like, what are all these extra pieces in here? So you make this beautiful front. Just a couple tips on here. I would suggest using liquid glue behind your pieces of DSP, and I would start on your white mat. I would start in the top corner, layer this one down, and then go either across or down. It doesn't really matter. But when you use liquid glue, you've got probably 5 or 10 seconds of wiggle, so you can kind of get your pieces down, and if it's not perfectly square, you got a little opportunity to fix it up. And then after you have those pieces all nice and secure, you can go ahead and layer in the inside. Then, ready for it? Okay, you open it up, and you've got this beautiful panel of DSP that really pops that Sweet Sorbet in there, and then the inside with another strip of that DSP on the bottom. So the card has a wow factor from the start, and then when you open it, it just gets layered in even more. So pretty. Really, really, really love that about this card. Then, let's see here. I lost my place. There are 3 other cards in this card class. All of them are really showing off the beauty of that DSP, and very creatively using the rest of the bundle, or not bundle, the stamp set, I should say. So we've got Best of Luck there. Here is a Thinking of You card, which flaps open like that. Really love that one. And then this Thank You card right here. Got all the insides. Nice little strip of DSP running along the bottom of all of them. Such a nice little touch on that. So that is the lowdown on this class and how to create this beautiful tile technique for this particular card. So
I have about 20 left.
we have kits left if you are interested in this, any of these beautiful cards, here, I'll flip it back down so that you can see them one more time. Bum-ba-da-bum. So these are from the Lovely and Lasting Ink, Paper, Scissors class. It is coming up September 1st, so you got a little bit of time, but we've got kits available. So soak it all up, enjoy the beautiful views, and let Chris know that you want to partake in that class. You got a kind of sneak peek at what one of the kits looks like. I didn't show you all of the kits, but oopsies, I'm gonna move them out of the way. Everything comes all pre-cut, ready to go, and the DSP is not, however, cut. Just to let you know that little bit, which I just explained to you how to go ahead and cut the DSP for this card in particular. Nothing to be intimidated about, just kind of one thing to keep in mind about that. So anyways, here are the cards. Ooh, I lost a piece. Chris would have had a nice surprise when she came to making this card. So I hope you guys all, didn't flip, had a wonderful Thursday. Friday is knocking on your door, and you can catch Chris later tonight for live card making. What do we have on the docket? Monthly card class tonight. So, ooh, I know what cards they are. So beautiful. So catch her at 6 o'clock Central. So we have 4:45 Central time right now. So you've got about an hour and 15 minutes before she's back in your feed. So I hope you have a wonderful night and see you next week.